We are back on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio, News Talk 1180, 1230 KGEO, 1410 KERI, and now in New Mexico on 1000 KKIM. And we're talking to Ed Valov from the Bakersfield Tea Party. Ed, before we get into the question I had for you, I wanted to make another comment on you and Clay talking about the 47% that Romney was referring to. We had a gentleman on about 3 or 4 months ago named Charlie Sykes who wrote a book called A Nation of Moochers. And he brought up a good point. He said, you get to a point where you hit that tipping point at 50%, then it's the old Margaret Thatcher thing about, you start running out of other people's money. And when you get to that 50%, now you have a nation of people who are getting money from the government, and why are they going to vote for somebody who isn't giving them money? Do you think that's a valid point as well?
Yeah, I think it's a very valid point. Being a business owner and everything, I can, at what point do I jump in the cart?
Right.
I'm pulling it now, and I'm seeing less and less of us pulling that cart. And, the other day I was looking at the Kern Cogs website, and they have some position for district suit or operator or something. The thing pays $50,000 a year. At what point do I just say, hey, I'm jumping in?
Right.
I mean, I don't have that in me, but I see less and less of me out there.
Sure. Okay. Well, going back to that question I had for you, back to the Tea Party, do you think a lot of people, a lot of conservatives, a lot of people in the Tea Party weren't that enthusiastic with Romney? I mean, on his best day, he's a moderate. He's not conservative by any stretch of the imagination. Do you think a lot of Tea Party people stayed home and just didn't vote for him?
I think here locally, that's not the case. I think our main objective was to get Obama out of there. But I think here that there wasn't a lot of enthusiasm for Romney as much as it was to get Obama out. And as I talk to people across the country, in the middle of the country, I believe that I've been told that there were people that just did not go and vote because they understood Romney was a moderate, and they didn't really see that much difference. And it's kind of disappointing. I talked to him, and but I can't. I'm getting tired of arguing about this lesser of two evil thing.
Right.
And I see their point.
Let's talk about, first off, everything's Bush's fault. You know that. Sandy was Bush's fault. Katrina was Bush's fault. And I think Romney losing was probably Bush's fault.
Well, I think Romney could have blamed Bush and gained some points for something there.
That would have worked. That would have been a good strategy.
But one of the problems we have, everybody's got an opinion about why Romney lost or what Romney should have done or how he should have done it. You know what? It's over. It's past. You conservatives got to stop crying. Let's move forward.
You conservatives? I like that.
Yeah, you conservatives. Let's move forward and move this country forward and take advantage of what we have. I mean, look at all the freebies we can get now.
By the way, moving this country forward is not re-electing Boehner as the Speaker of the House.
Good point.
And, we're talking about now what we can do to move forward. What he's done in the steering committee by giving himself 5 votes is just ridiculous. It's kind of like the rule, that Rule 12 during the convention was a big factor because, we're a republic and we're set up for a minority voice. And when he disallowed legally elected delegates to his convention, every freedom-loving American should be concerned with that.
Yeah, I agree. What do you see now for the Tea Party? Because I see some of the smaller Tea Parties are closing up, or thinking about closing up,
or merging.
Yeah. What do you see happening for the Tea Party in the next 4 years?
There's a lot of work that's going on, and this started about 2 years ago. There's a lot of work that's going on and networking. Like here in California, we have webinars every week for the leaders. We have ground plans, and but there's a lot of disenfranchisement out there right now. I mean,
Sure.
there's a lot of discouragement, and I understand it, but I'm not going to surrender to the ways of the left. I'm just not going to do it. I got my moral obligation is to my children and Americans yet to be, and we have a big debt problem here, and we got to solve that thing.
Yeah, definitely. We're having a conversation with Ed Valov from the Bakersfield Tea Party.
You talk about the debt problem, but what you don't understand is Obama's going to go get another $4 billion or $4 trillion. So, where's the problem?
The problem is our speaker needs to stop that.
You're in good form today, Clay.
Well, I'm just trying to understand where you guys are coming from. I mean, we've got a new president. Keep in mind that Obama just inherited the worst economy of any president ever.
That is true.
So give the man an opportunity to fix it.
That's right, and he inherited from his predecessor, who is
George Bush.
No, Obama.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
But it's all Bush's fault if you go back a few more years.
You got to go back. You got to go back 4+ years now to make it not Obama's fault.
And I know the other thing about Obama that really intrigued me a little bit is they're talking.
Intrigued you?
Yes, because they're talking about this Benghazi situation, and this is the man who has the answers. And what does he do? He takes off so nobody can ask him any questions. I'm a little discouraged about that.
That's kind of been what he's done all along. I mean, he, when right after the Benghazi thing happened, he goes off to Las Vegas. I think it was, and
it was an important fundraiser.
Yeah, they're all important fundraisers.
I know Clay's having a little tongue-in-cheek right now, but I'll tell you, the Benghazi thing is one of those things that really, really. The morning it happened, we had Mick Gleason in the studio, and Mick is a retired commander from China Lake, and Clay and I are both ex-military, and just the fact that we left those guys there, it makes my blood boil just to think about it. And the other thing that totally irritated me about Obama and Benghazi is that since only Fox News reported it, he got a pass on that, because when they took a survey, Fox took an independent survey, the majority of people felt Obama had done a good job with Benghazi, a much better job than Romney would have done. How the heck do you come to that conclusion based on what happened? They let those people die for 5 hours and watched what happened.
My problem with that was, we can argue, and they're trying to make this case that they weren't supposed to be there, and we can argue if they were supposed to be there or not. But what we can't argue is we left them there.
Exactly. Even if they weren't supposed to be there, you get them out and deal with it later. But you don't let them sit there and die.
And what they did to the ambassador was really cruel. They tortured this man for several hours. They cut his personal parts out. They dragged him through the streets. It was disgusting. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
And it played out on the world stage. So, I don't know. I know their talking points is to say that they weren't supposed to be there, but that to leave them there is just terrible to me.
And then you look what just took place in what Hamas just did with what they called an Israel spy, where they dragged him through the streets and tortured him and murdered him.
Motorcycle. Yeah.
These people are crazy over there in the Middle East, I am afraid.
Yeah,
I know there's a difference between Al Qaeda and Hamas and all those, but these Muslims that support that are crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. Getting back to the Tea Party again in the future, what can we do? Because I'm a little concerned about the apathy that you're seeing right now and the disenfranchisement that you're talking about, which is true. People are just totally upset, and they're disgusted at the fact that we lost as badly as we lost on all fronts. So what can we do as conservatives, as a Tea Party, to change the next 4 years and to prepare ourselves for the next election?
Well, one of the things that I've noticed as being a coordinator here is we have good involvement. I mean, people are concerned. The problem is we have to reach out to different demographics. So we need to reach out to the younger people somehow, and we need to connect with the Hispanics. You know, I mean, you look at how the Obama won the Hispanic vote. I mean, this is a very, very conservative segment of our society, and we failed to capture that, and we need to do more work to fold them into conservative values.
Yeah, I totally agree. In the African American community, too, when you look at the social values, they're more Republican than they are Democrat. Yet we haven't tapped into that, and it's hurting us. You can't win an election and not carry a bigger percentage of the minority community than Romney did.
Well,
you just can't.
They're not going to be the minority much longer the way things are going.
Right. Well, you know, Reagan carried what? I think, if I remember the statistic, he carried something like 39 or 40% of the Hispanic community. So, you know, and Romney was down in the teens. There's no way you're going to win an election that way.
No.
So, Ed, when is your next meeting, and where's it going to be held?
Well, I think we're going to have one in January. It'll be the fourth Thursday in January. We were going to have one coming up here next week, but there's been some family issues with Francis, and quite honestly, there's still a little hangover going on.
Sure.
And so we've kind of decided to sit back, do a little bit of planning, little strategic work, and then hit it hard again in January.
Where do you hold it?
It's held at the Flamingo Palace, I think. It's on Weibel in between White Lane and Panama there.
Yeah.
Obviously, you'll have free food, too, right?
Yeah. No, the food's not free, but...
You're not a Democrat, then.
No.
Yeah.
It's right next to the bowling alley there,
Yeah.
and they have a banquet hall, and that's where we hold our meetings.
And when we get closer to that time, please let us know, and we'll be more than happy to announce it for you.
Sure.
And anything we could do for you in the future, please let us know.
Sure. Thank you.
We'll be back in a moment on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio, News Talk 1180.